Let me pull up the Gielinor Games video really fast. Okay.
10 RuneScape pros have been...
Cool. All right. So with this Gielinor Games episode, somebody asked, when was it filmed? And we actually filmed this about 2 months ago. The very first challenge where we all had to go make some money, this challenge was filmed 2 months ago. And I want to kind of like talk to you guys about the behind the scenes of what happened here, because there's probably some stuff that you guys don't know that happened behind the scenes with this stuff. And I'll kind of fill you guys in on everything that went on behind the scenes. But basically, this first episode was supposed to be filmed 2 months ago when we had all been playing the game for less than a month. So me, Soda, Guzu and Savix and Shobek had been playing a little bit longer than everybody else. So I would say they had the advantage maybe at the very first challenge. So at the first challenge, we were mostly, everybody was even. Everyone was kind of still playing the game at that point. But on that day, none of us were streaming. And I think that some people in the chat were figuring it out. Like, oh, it's kind of random that like nobody is streaming at this day, on this day at this time, except for Pirate Software. He was the only one streaming RuneScape on this day that we were filming. And on this day, the servers were crashing like crazy. Like all of a sudden, it was like the worst DDoS attack in RuneScape history on this day when none of the streamers were streaming. And we were all supposed to be filming Gielinor Games, and the only person streaming RuneScape was Pirate Software. So it was like a weird day, and of course we were all memeing saying it was Pirate's fault, but it wasn't his fault. Had nothing to do with him. I don't know. I think that literally Jagex was just randomly getting DDoSed on this day, and we didn't really know why. So there's a moment in the show when Shobek loots a square shield off the ground and he DCs, right?
There's no way anyone knows a better way to get gold than this, because I'm the only person that has leveled Slayer even remotely.
I want to see if I can find it.
I'm at 75 Slayer on my...
Here, watch this. All right, DMCA music. I'm already getting canceled. Come on, where's the Shobek thing? Right here, ready?
Rune square shield. I can't loot it though. I can't loot it. I can't loot it.
Right here.
I can't loot. No.
Okay, yeah. Okay, that's a great edit, but I want you guys to know the first day, that was all that was happening. Was all of us were trying to loot items off the ground. None of us could move. We were all DCing. They were having to like extend the episode and extend the time. Some people weren't DCing. So like in this first competition, some people had maybe more time or like way less time because they just spent the entire competition DC'd. They did a fantastic job editing this to make it, you know, look like obviously none of that was happening. But it was so bad, you guys. They thought about refilming the first challenge and they had to reschedule the filming. So I want you to imagine trying to schedule 20 different streamers who stream full time to take a day off or like take like 5 hours off during the middle of a day to film something is not easy. So the next day that was available to film for everybody wasn't for like 5 weeks after the first challenge. So the first challenge was the only fair challenge, in my opinion, in the entire episode because we were all on a similar knowledge level. Yeah. So that's basically what happened. Now I want you to fast forward 5 weeks later, and we're trying to refilm Gielinor Games. Soda Poppin has quit. Andy Fuchsia has quit. Vebe has quit. Sony has quit. He didn't even show up because he had something going on. So Shobek couldn't even log into his character. So he had to use Sony's character to play out the rest of the series. We couldn't figure out why Shobek couldn't log into his character. And most of the other players had, like most of the other WoW players in the competition, I feel like had quit. And then the people that were left, so you have Soda Poppin', who knows literally nothing about the game and hasn't played in a month, versus like me, Savix, Guzu, Jokered, Shobek, people that are still actively like playing the game. And I felt like it wasn't really as fair anymore at that point because of like how much we had all been playing, right? And so when competition 3 happened, it was still simple stuff. Like it was go buy a beer. So there was only 2 challenges where they made us lead. So it really wasn't a big deal. That was the third challenge was the only one I felt like maybe wasn't fair, but it was literally go buy a beer, go make a bronze dagger. And the fastest way to do it was Lumbridge, and I didn't even choose Lumbridge. I chose to make a bronze dagger by teleporting to Artie and running down here to this mine, because I knew this mine was near an anvil, and I knew that there was a furnace here in Artie. So I didn't even choose the fastest way anyway, but we still came in second because I knew immediately where to go and I didn't hesitate. That being said, there was a little bit of an advantage difference because some people had quit playing at this point, some people kept playing, but it didn't really matter that much because the pros should have been the ones leading. The funniest one to me because remember you guys were all abobaing me about the zombie pirates because I spent my first week playing the game in the wilderness, and when they were like the very first episode, go make money, I was like, where can you make money in this game? And I was drawing a blank, and I was like, let's just go to the wilderness. Let's go to the wilderness. And when we were like 10 seconds into the wilderness, I was like, wait,
challenge.
Do we have the reason I had never done zombie pirates because I didn't have medium diaries, but I was like, wait, we're on a max account with everything. If we have the medium diary done, we should do zombie pirates. And it just clicked. And me and Skill Specs went and did zombie pirates. And I think we would have been first in this competition, in this challenge. However, I told him to sell all of the items to the general vendor in Varrock. And afterwards, I found out that there is a general vendor in the wilderness right here, that if you sell items here, you get general exchange value for the items. Or I could have had us go here to the altar that gives you unlimited runes, and we could have high out all of our stuff here, and we would have won by a long shot. That would have, like, because our items were worth about 600,000, but we sold them to the vendor for 150K. Yeah. So I made a good choice, but then I blew the win on the first thing because I didn't know about the general exchange in the wilderness, and I didn't know about this high alch fountain, which gives you all runes for free, the Fountain of Rune. So also, we didn't know that Agility Pyramid was boosted, so like they got 3 times value on that. So we ended up losing on the first challenge of the Gielinor games because I made that fumble. The second one, the one that I was really proud of, and this is where I'm going to show you guys where I had a slight advantage, but not like much of an advantage, I would say, because we still got like 8th. I think this is where I had the advantage, and I'm going to show you where it didn't matter because we still got 8th. Was the hide and seek.
Yeah, go to rope. Okay,
So, go down. Do not go down.
The hide and seek one.
Go run up the waterfall.
I'm going to tell you how I knew this.
To go in? No, wait.
So the beginning of the hide and seek thing. So immediately when I saw this, guys, at this point in time, when we had filmed this episode, this is 5 weeks after the first one, I had just done Song of the Elves. If I had not just done Song of the Elves, I would not have remembered this statue from Waterfall. And I remember reading the wiki to understand the lore of Song of the Elves and why we were unfreezing Baxter and why he buried his wife Glariel and encapsulated himself in stone after he had been a bad leader for the elves and been overthrown by the other elf who, you know, defeated him in battle and took leadership of the elves. And he was ashamed of what he had done, a lot of things that he had done. So we had just gotten King Baxter out of the stone, and I remembered this from Song of the Elves, and I told Skill Specs right away. If you'll listen to what I tell Skill Specs here,
I think Falador statue.
He's saying Falador, and watch what I say here. Falador's?
Would be my guess.
Are you sure it's not the waterfall quest where Baxter buried his wife?
Oh, water.
Yeah, and, like immediately, I thought I knew the answer, but I didn't want to like disrespect Skill Specs because he knows more about the game than I do. So we wasted about 2 to 3 minutes running around like Falador and talking about it, and then he was like, let's go to your idea. And then,
Waterfall. Oh,
and then I didn't really understand how to get to Barbarian. I didn't know how to teleport to Barbarian quickly, and I accidentally TP'd to Sears because Skill Specs was like, click the Nexus. And I clicked the Nexus in the house, and the Nexus takes me to the default location, and then I don't know how to get back.
North, and it's a singular statue. Yo, go to your spot. Go to your spot.
Go to water. Okay, I'm gonna go to.
Start heading to waterfall.
Right. So then I try to figure out like how the hell do I get to Barbarian Assault really quickly. And watch me here.
Nexus, click configure, and then go to Arnie.
I'm here.
It's like a Nexus.
Okay, so you see when I hover over this, it says Sears Village Portal. So he's like, hover over the Nexus, go to configure.
There's a configure option. Don't click.
So I click Sears, and he's like, listen.
Click Sears Village, click configure on it, and click Arnie.
Sears Village. He's like, don't click Sears Village. I have one tick to stop myself from clicking the Nexus because I don't know what a Nexus is. And I port to Sears as he's saying it. Portal Nexus. And then I look on the map and I'm like, screw it. I'm not that far from Barbasol. I'm just going to run. I went to Sears. It's actually not that far though. All right, I'm running. So I look on the map and I'm like, I could get there in probably a minute if I ran because we have unlimited run speed on these characters. So I just decided to walk it. Yeah. Anyways, that was another mistake that I made, but we ended up getting like 8th. This was the one that we placed the worst on, and this was the one where I thought I had the advantage here, but the advantage didn't end up helping us. So yeah, those were kind of like a couple of things that happened like behind the scenes where made the episode more interesting at the same time. Dude, I need to give a shout out to Joker because he kicked my ass in PvP. It wasn't even close. Like, he kicked everyone's ass in PvP. He was so good with the... He didn't use mage, by the way. He just perfectly executed the melee range vengeance swap. He got a rapier. So he was just perfectly... He was literally one melee attack, one ranged attack, one melee attack, one ranged attack, and that was it. And I could not keep up with it. So he was dominating everybody with a perfect melee range strat. And he was in the tanky gear the whole time. So you couldn't really hit big hits on him. You couldn't catch him in mage robes. And I could not death dot to reset. I was trying to with the shift click, but I didn't have shift click on this character. So what I normally do is shift click on top and then heal to full. And then I would basically, what's the thing where you go in and go back under him? I couldn't do that. You can't shift click in PvP. Okay. So I didn't know that. I should have been right clicking and walking under. I couldn't death dot. And I kept trying to death dot and I was just sitting there getting owned because I kept trying to death dot. So that was my fault. He took advantage of that, completely dominated me. We ended up getting third. Because I just lived the longest. I only killed Soda Poppin'. I got lucky. I got lucky because I spawned into Soda Poppin', and he's awful. No offense to Soda Poppin', but he has no idea what's going on. So I got super excited when I saw Soda was next to me. and just yeah, it was a pretty easy fight. Yo, Croaky, thank you for the prime. And then I saw Vey, and I was about to kill Vey, and she just runs into the storm. She just takes off running into the storm the other direction. And I'm like, do I follow her? Like, I don't know. And then she just goes into the storm and dies, I think. And so I just outlived her. And then I run into Joker. And I was actually feeling pretty confident against Joker. But he killed me. And when I tell you guys, it wasn't even close. Like, I think Joker still had half food left when he beat me. And then Guzu beat Savix, which blew my mind. I was like, how did Guzu beat Savix in PvP? The reason that I put negative points on Savix was instead of Guzu was because I thought Savix was going to be the best one at PvP, right? Because they were like, in the beginning of the episode, who do you guys want to, basically want to sabotage? And I'm like, well, Savix and Framed are probably the best duo PvP. Like, they'll probably win. So I was like, yeah, definitely Savix, right? Because he has really good PVM knowledge and PvP. But we were considering giving it to Guzu and Settled. And Guzu did insane. And Joker ended up winning the PvP. He dominated Guzu too. Like, it wasn't even close. Because he just he perfectly executed the melee range vengeance tactic. So that was another thing that completely just caught me off guard. Was how good they were in PvP. And then the last thing was the multi PvP, which we were not expecting. I did not realize, like, the whole don't cheat thing. The second that skill specs ran up and I saw Oda was getting 2v1, I told skill specs to help Oda. I'm like, dude, you got to help Oda. Like, this is not cool that they're double teaming him like that. And I skill specs jumped in immediately and started helping Oda. So that's basically what happened. Those were kind of some of the behind the scene things and some of the things that maybe you didn't get from what was going on with the competition. And then there was the last thing. The last thing that happened was we did not win. When they announced the winner, they didn't say it was me and skill specs. So we were all cheering for Guzu because Guzu won. But that was just because they completely miscalculated the points. So we were all like, hell yeah, Guzu had settled. Good shit. Like, we were all cheering for them at the end of the episode. And we were like, hell yeah. And then we were all like, congrats, Guzu. We said our goodbyes. We all hugged and like, that was it. And then a few days later, they ping everyone in the Discord. They're like, yo, sorry guys. Guzu and Settle didn't win. It's actually skill specs and Sardaco. Because we got second and first in every single event except the hide and seek. And so it makes sense that we won after looking at the points, but also there were some people that brought the wrong beers that got disqualified. And I think that Soup is not able to see what beer is in your inventory until after the episode is over. So when he goes into the editing. So he had to go back and like check the tapes and make sure that like everybody actually did everything legit. And then there were some disqualifications where the pro actually spoke when he wasn't supposed to and helped. And then some people got disqualified for that too. So those were pretty much all of the behind the scene things that happened that maybe you did or didn't know or didn't pick up from the filming of this. I will say I had so much fun, you guys, doing this episode. Getting that many content creators together to make this type of thing was so cool. And then they absolutely destroyed it on the edit. It was just so well done and very, very entertaining. I was locked in for the full hour on this thing. I thought it was one of the best episodes. I'm biased because I was in it, but all my friends were in it too. So I was just loving it. I was cracking up laughing at Soda Block every time they spoke, I was dying laughing because their dynamic is just so funny. And I was trying to convey to you guys what I was doing between Oda Block and Soda when we did the first tournament. Like trying to translate what Oda was saying to Soda because Soda didn't understand what Oda was saying. Because like Oda is great at doing it himself. He's not good at like conveying his thoughts in a manner to which you can understand. Like, and then he'll be like, follow me, and then he'll leave you, right? And then you're like, yo, Oda, where are you? You know what I mean? So he's super, those guys are super funny. They're dynamic together. They should always be on the same team because it's just so funny. And then they're screaming at each other, you know, and it's just like Soda mad is funny. It always has been and always will. So it just works really well together. So those guys were hilarious. But I will say, you know, they did kind of fall apart a little bit without me. So, you know, sometimes you do, you know, give me some credit. You know, I held the ship together last time a little bit, tried to give you guys a little insight at what I was going through with them too. But yo, those are my homies. Those are my homies, and they did great and they were hilarious. So anyways, I see some people saying now you're 2-0 in tournaments. You know, I'll be the last time I'll bring this up, but you know, we are back-to-back RuneScape champions now. So that's pretty freaking cool. That's pretty freaking cool, guys. I got to say it. The 2-time champ. So I'm super grateful, super happy I was invited. And the fact that we won was just like, just cherry on top. So, and we get 40 bonds or something like that. And somebody told me it's worth 500 million. So we got another 500 million for the pier.